On June 28, 2015, Dr. Teresa Sievers, a respected holistic physician, returned home from a family vacation, unaware of the tragic fate that awaited her. Within hours, she was brutally murdered in her Bonita Springs, Florida home. Her death sent shockwaves through the tight-knit community, but the investigation would soon reveal a shocking conspiracy masterminded by her husband, Mark Sievers, involving two accomplices, Curtis Wainwright and Jimmy Ray Rogers, who traveled more than 1,200 miles to carry out the crime. Dr. Teresa Sievers was a dedicated physician who blended traditional and alternative medicine to help patients with unique medical needs. After graduating from Ross University School of Medicine in 1996, she established a thriving medical practice in Bonita Springs. Married in 2003, Teresa and her husband Mark shared two daughters and ran her practice together, with Mark acting as the office manager. To the outside world, they appeared to be a happy family, but cracks in their marriage would soon lead to a devastating betrayal. Mark Sievers's financial difficulties and growing fears of losing custody of his daughters became the catalyst for a murder plot. In May 2015, during the wedding of his friend Curtis Wainwright, Mark confided in Wright about his struggles, including mental health issues and concerns about Teresa taking the children away. Mark expressed a desire to have Teresa killed, motivated by her lucrative life insurance policies totaling over $4 million. Initially hesitant, Wright eventually agreed to assist in exchange for a share of the insurance payout. To carry out the plan, Wright recruited Jimmy Ray Rogers, a man with a history of violence. Together, they meticulously planned Teresa's murder, devising two scenarios. One at her home, staged as a burglary, and another at her medical office, posed as a mugging. On June 28, 2015, Teresa returned home after cutting short a family vacation in New York. Unbeknownst to her, Wright and Rogers had already entered her home using information provided by Mark, including the alarm codes. As Teresa stepped into her kitchen, she was ambushed. Wright struck her with a hammer, and Rogers joined the attack moments later. Despite Teresa's attempts to defend herself, she was overpowered and succumbed to 17 blunt force injuries to her head. After confirming Teresa was dead, the two men left the scene, taking care not to activate the alarm system. They fled Florida in their rental car and returned to Missouri, believing they had covered their tracks. The following morning, June 29, 2015, Teresa's body was discovered by a family friend, Dr. Mark Petrius, who had been asked by Mark to check on her after she failed to show up for work. Teresa was found lying in a pool of blood in her kitchen, with a hammer nearby. The brutal nature of her murder shocked the community. Detectives immediately began an investigation, interviewing family, friends, and colleagues. While initial leads were scarce, a breakthrough came nearly 2 months later when a tip from Missouri pointed to Curtis Wainwright. The tipster revealed that Wright had confessed to someone about his involvement in Teresa's murder. This led detectives to Wright and Rogers, ultimately resulting in their arrests in August 2015. The investigation uncovered critical evidence that linked Wright and Rogers to the murder. 1. GPS data. Tracking from the rental car confirmed their journey from Missouri to Florida and back, aligning with the murder timeline. 2. Surveillance footage. Cameras captured Wright and Rogers purchasing items, including a lockpicking kit and black towels, just days before the murder. 3. Cell phone records. Text messages and calls between Mark, Wright, and Rogers revealed a pattern of communication leading up to the crime. 4. Physical evidence. Fibers from a discarded blue jumpsuit found on a Missouri highway matched fibers from Teresa's clothing at the crime scene. Faced with mounting evidence, Wright confessed to his role in the murder and struck a plea deal with prosecutors. He admitted that Mark had approached him with the idea of killing Teresa and detailed how the plan was executed. In exchange for a reduced sentence, Wright agreed to testify against both Mark and Rogers. Wright's testimony was pivotal in uncovering the depth of the conspiracy. He described how Mark had not only planned the murder but had also provided key logistical details, including alarm codes, entry points, and instructions to make the crime appear as a burglary or mugging. In 2019, Rogers stood trial for his role in the murder. Prosecutors presented evidence including the surveillance footage, GPS data, and Wright's testimony. Rogers was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. Mark's trial began in December 2019, with prosecutors presenting a comprehensive case against him. They highlighted his financial motive, the life insurance policies, and the conspiracy to murder Teresa. Wright's testimony, combined with text messages and forensic evidence, painted a clear picture of Mark's role as the mastermind. The defense attempted to discredit Wright, pointing to his criminal history and mental health issues. They argued that Wright had fabricated the story to secure a plea deal. Despite these efforts, the jury found Mark guilty of first-degree premeditated murder and conspiracy to commit murder. On January 3, 2020, Mark Sievers was sentenced to death for orchestrating Teresa's murder. During the sentencing hearing, victim impact statements conveyed the devastating emotional toll of Teresa's death on her family and community. The jury unanimously recommended the death penalty, citing the cold, calculated nature of the crime. Mark addressed the court, maintaining his innocence and expressing love for his daughters. Despite his pleas for leniency, Judge Bruce Kyle upheld the jury's recommendation and emphasized the severity of Mark's betrayal. In addition to the death sentence, Mark received a consecutive 30-year prison term for conspiracy. Mark Sievers continues to maintain his innocence and is currently appealing his conviction and sentence. His legal team has introduced new evidence, including a letter from Rogers allegedly stating that Mark had no involvement in the murder. While Mark's attorneys argue that this evidence could warrant a retrial, legal experts remain skeptical, given the overwhelming evidence presented at trial. As of now, Mark Sievers remains on death row at Union Correctional Institution in Florida. The Florida Supreme Court is expected to rule on his appeal in the coming months. The murder of Dr. Teresa Sievers is a chilling reminder of how greed and betrayal can lead to unimaginable violence. A devoted mother and respected doctor, Teresa's life was cut short by those she trusted most. Her death continues to resonate with her family, friends, and the Bonita Springs community. This case also underscores the importance of forensic evidence and meticulous investigations in solving complex crimes. From GPS data to cell phone records, digital footprints played a crucial role in bringing the perpetrators to justice. Yet, questions remain about the motivations and actions of those involved, leaving a lasting impact on all who followed the case. This condensed version highlights the key events, evidence, and outcomes of the case while maintaining a cohesive narrative. Let me know if you'd like further adjustments,